Ross here. Taylor's letting me take the run on this one. We're going to be teaching you guys how to make the super easy swamp bases that you've seen in a couple of our videos. So first thing you're going to do is to get some cork, put it on your board, super glue that bad boy down, kind of build what you want your base to look like. Make sure to leave some gaps. We're going to fill those in with UV resin later to kind of give that swampy, murky gunk. But get some nice like rock formations going. It's your base. Do it how you would like to do it. Just try to make sure that you leave enough cork for your model to stand on. Once you have your cork on your base, go ahead and take some PVA glue. You're going to cover that bad boy in PVA glue. Then get sand, dirt. I've just gone outside and taken some sand. This sand is from the beach. And you're going to just coat all of that glue with the sand that you got from outside, right? Don't worry about getting it into the cracks and the crevices. It's going to give a nice textured base to anything that you can see through the resin anyway. So now you have your sand, let that dry. I went ahead and primed the base black, but then we're going to start hitting it with some yellow dry brushing. The yellow is going to kind of bring out a lot of the ridges. You're going to bring out some of that swampiness. It's going to be covered up a lot later, but the layering I've found is kind of the most important piece to try to get the aesthetic from the swampiness. So we're going to go ahead and dry brush it yellow, and then we're going to let that kind of sit. You kind of want the yellow to be completely dry before you move on to the next step. And that next step is going to be a little green. We're going to take a nice forest green. Really any green will do. And this time we're going to be a little bit more aggressive, really hit the edges. You can kind of see that the base is going to start looking more verdant. Right now we're going to start seeing that life. This is where we're starting to build the moss layers. We're going to start building up what could be like grass. But yeah, take a forest green, go. You'll see that I kind of even chipped the base here. That's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. This is super low threat. And we're going to be able to cover that later. Now, once we've done our green, we're going to move on to a purple. A nice purple will do. I'm using a speed paint. You can use any purple that you have. If you're using a not speed paint or contrast paint or anything of those flavors, water it down a little bit. You kind of want the paint to be runny. We're kind of just letting it seep into the cracks, seep into that cork. Hit it with some purple, just stipple it on. Don't be too worried about where it goes. After that, we're going to immediately move on to a green. So keep your water nearby. We're kind of wet blending the green and the purple together, and we're just trying to build up layers of, moss or undergrowth, that kind of stuff. After green, we're going to move on to a nice orange. Any orange or red, but try to keep it, if you're going to do an orange, do a reddish orange. And do the same thing. Just kind of stipple it on. Don't be too careful with it. You don't need to go crazy. Just throw some. After that, it's not a Ross painting video if you're not covering that bad boy in strong tone, Agrax Earthshade, or any other brown wash of your choice. Just soak that puppy. We're just going to completely throw the strong tone just all over the base. Get it into all the nooks and crannies. This is going to add a lot of grunge and dinge and really bring the base to life, right? Hey, you can do almost an entire army's worth of bases in an evening if you're doing this in batch painting, or do one at a time, but this is my quick and dirty way to kind of get these swamp bases rolling. And as you can see, I am not worried about the liberal application of some strong tone. We're not putting the strong tone into the crevices where we're going to be putting the UV resin later. That's because we want that green to sit through from when we did the green step, and that's going to be kind of an undercoat. So don't go too crazy on the in the crevices. Like I said, here comes that UV resin. So this stuff you can get, I got it on Amazon. You can kind of just find it wherever. It's super awesome for these swamp bases. It is a little runny and it smells really bad. Don't do this in a non-ventilated area. But go ahead and throw some UV resin on there and then hit it with the black light. If you hit the corners where you're worried about spill off with the black light first, you won't have too many issues. If you do spill some UV resin onto the base and it cures, don't worry about it. Just hit it with some sandpaper. Now, this is kind of the secret. I learned this, and we'll link in the description where I learned this from. I was watching a ton of guys do this, do these swamp bases, and these silica beads, desiccant beads that you get from pretty much anything you order that's supposed to stay dry. Uh, they work great for swamp bubbles. So you'll see I'm kind of just tossing them into the UV resin, and all you're gonna do is once you get them kind of where you want them, just do a light coat of UV resin on top, just enough to seed them, right? And just kind of let it simmer, let it settle a little bit. And then once you've done that, we're going to hit it again with the UV light to really lock those desiccant beads in place. And when we come back with our paint, they're going to look like swamping bubbles, kind of just simmering up to the top from the caustic waste below, which I think looks really good. So, like I said, just super thin coat, come back over it, hit it with the UV light. That's going to lock those desiccant beads in place. It takes a second to kind of get used to it, but no swamp is the same. They're all going to be kind of murky. So, you know, if you take a couple bases to figure it out, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. That UV resin cures super fast. So now that it's cured and we've got our ventilator running so that we don't smell that disgusting chemical smell that I'm sure is really bad for you, we're going to go in with some Nurgle's Rot. I found that this technical paint is one of the best for the swamp, or like the swampiness. And so you can see we're just going to stipple it on, you know, be extra liberal where the bubbles are. That Nurgle's Rot is going to kind of shrink as it dries, and it's going to make those bubbles look like they're snot coming out of the swamp, right? This is also somewhere you can put if you have like divots in your base or somewhere else you just want swampiness to kind of seep through. Go ahead and hit it there. If you've made a mistake earlier, hit it with a little Nurgle's Rot. Nobody's going to know, and it's going to look great. So we're just coming in with some Nurgle's Rot. We're trying to keep it mostly in the crevices, but we're not being too worried about it, right? This is all fun. This is your base. Do it your way. And we're just kind of doing what feels right in our head. And that's the ultimate part, right? Just have fun with it. That's what makes this fun in general. And that's pretty much it. That's the swamp base, right? And we'll show you on the Necro Harvester what this kind of ends up looking like after everything's dry. And thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you had a great time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And other than that, have a great day.